Hello, everybody. It's my first ever live Q&A. Ask Me Anything live Q&A is what I'm calling it. And I just want to see how this goes. I wanted to give people the opportunity to ask questions and kind of, I've never done this type of live interaction before. It's always recorded podcasts or recorded videos that I put on my YouTube. So I wanted to try something different. I feel quite nervous about this because it is I have to kind of think on my feet to any questions. But please, as people come in and they join, please feel free to submit a question in the comment section in the box, and I will start to answer them. But before any questions come in, which I'm hoping that they will come in, we could just talk a little bit about what's been going on this week. It's, the last couple of weeks for whoever's following me have been challenging and tough to continue keeping my enthusiasm high and keeping things rolling with the content creation. It has been tough, but I do know that there's always these lulls with doing this type of thing, trying to create something out of nothing, which is exactly what I'm trying to do. I am trying to create something out of nothing, and it's tough. But this week's been a lot better. The posts have been good. I've asked a couple of questions to the audience. Something like, I asked if there was one thing that you could say to the person who did you wrong as a child, what could it be? The comments were incredible. It turned out to be such a powerful post. So I will do more of those types of questions, just trying to get conversation going in the comment section, which is important. And I also made a post about some people being not so nice in the comment section, but I'll leave you to read that because I don't really want to get into that because it did mess up my day, right? The negative comments do hit me because this work is my personal work, right? I'm pouring my heart out on the page, and for somebody to come and attack me and say things like, I don't believe your story, or I believe you're just making this up for attention. My goodness, that hits you. Like, that's difficult to take, right? And anybody who is running their own pages will know that and see that. So please, if you have joined this IG Live, it is a live Q&A. Please do submit your questions. It's a Ask Me Anything live Q&A. So if you've got any curiosity about what I'm doing, if you've got any questions about my history, if you've got any questions about my story, we can get into that as well. Please just do put them in the comment section and we could try to get a discussion going. If you've got no question for me, you could also feel free to maybe give some suggestions of what you've liked or what you may haven't liked so much on the content that I've been posting this week. Please feel free to do that as well. One of the latest things that I posted at the end of last week was a reaction video to Blake Lively, who's a massive actress in the US, and I reviewed her video of her giving an emotional speech at a live event in the US, which has got millions of views online. And she talks about child pornography. And actually, the title of the original YouTube video is child pornography. And I know that term is not actually the correct term to be using, but I decided to stick with that term because I felt like it had more impact as a title to a post rather than just saying child abuse material. I knew that would possibly create some upset with people because it's not the correct term, but I did decide to stick with it, and some people didn't like it. But you know what? I mean, it's just tough. It was a tough decision for me to make. Do I go with the title that's going to bring most impact to the post, or do I go with the correct terminology? I decided with the impact on the post, and well, I'm not sure 100% if that was the correct decision, but yeah, I went with the decision, and some people didn't like it and some people liked it. So we've got a question from Dilshan.sr. Thank you very much. So he's saying that I love your approach trying to get on television. Are there any other child sex influencers that are on this level, not just in the UK? So yes, I am trying my hardest. This is so important for me. I'm trying my hardest to get this on television in a way that is going to grab people's attention. And I don't know anyone else that's directly doing it. No influencers, no television production companies. Actually, that's wrong, because there is a Netflix documentary, and I do forget the name, but it is reporting the Rotherham scandal of grooming gangs. And they portrayed it so well. And they were young girls who were groomed by this grooming gang, is what they called it. And it was a 3-part series, and it was strong. Like, it was so powerful. So actually, yes, my answer is there are people who are getting this on television, but not enough. Like, I'm sure that not many people have actually heard of that Netflix documentary before. But that is the type of thing that I'm after, because documentaries are fantastic, and we can create a documentary on my story and my journey and what I've done here, there, and all of that. But actually, I think film is a lot more engaging. Film will reach a lot more people because people like to watch a engaging story, and then you start getting this subject outside of the survivor community. So, to answer the question, yes, I am aiming for things like television, and I have sent my work to all of these people that produce the TV programs that I've seen before, and hopefully one day they're going to reply to one of my pieces, and then we're on a good move. Thank you very much. I've got another question in here from ffs.trauma. Thank you very much. Hi from Australia. And before I even get into the question, and they've written in brackets at midnight. Thank you so much for tuning in at that time of night. You're from Australia. That means my work is reaching so far. How incredible that is. My work has gone across the globe. That's so excellent. It's brilliant. Thank you so much. Have you done much inner child work in your healing? So my answer to that, I suppose, is officially with therapy and other well-known methods that people are using. The answer is no. I would say when the memories started to haunt me, is the way that I put it, in my mid-20s, I started to try to think about them in my own head. And I think that was part of healing. And also then when I spoke out for the first time to a close friend was a massive move. It was a huge move for me. When I spoke it for the first time to my close friend, I believe that is one of the biggest inner child work of my healing. Now, the healing is a really interesting word, because I don't think you can ever be fully healed. The only way you can be fully healed is if you actually erased the memories from your mind, which of course we know is impossible. But I think like progression with managing the memories, managing what happened is what the aim is. And actually all the work that I'm doing in raising awareness, trying to get this subject in front of as many people as possible, that is the most powerful thing that I do. Trying to make sense of it all. So thank you so much for your question. Thank you so much for coming from Australia to send it. That is really encouraging for me. Excellent things. Thank you. Okay, we have another question. Hang on a minute. I've just done something to my screen. From Andrew Harrisky. What is your opinion or thoughts on... Excuse me, I'll start again. What is your opinion or thoughts about people who haven't come out about their own CSA, child sexual abuse, scared of being judged or having repercussions from an employer? So, first, I'll answer the first part of that question. is, what is your opinion or thoughts about people who haven't come out about their own CSA? And that is straight up, I try my hardest to avoid encouraging people to speak out, because first of all, that's just none of my business to be advising people on that. What I do try my hardest to show in my work is what that brought for my life, what that brought to me on my journey of progression, by speaking out. And it was a great thing, and it continues to be a great thing. So my thoughts about people who haven't spoke out is, if you are looking to speak out or you're wanting to speak out, then there are various avenues that you can go down. Or you can speak to somebody in person. But if you don't have anybody close to you that you trust with that information, you could join one of the many incredible Facebook groups that are out there and speak on there. They could be closed groups as well, so that they're not open to the public, if that's what you wish. But you know what? One of the ways that is available to everybody, if you want to speak out and you haven't yet, is just to write it down on a piece of paper and read it back to yourself. It's so powerful. So for the people who are not ready to speak out about their child sexual abuse, it's no problem. It's no problem. Do what is good for you, as long as it's helping your well-being. Scared of being judged or having repercussions from an employer. We need to change what is happening. We need to change this culture. I put a post out this week, right? For anybody that didn't see it, let me read that to you. So I wrote, could we make it kind of cool, in inverted commas, to speak out, or at least make it not so shameful? Then the young people coming through the system can see that it's okay, and if they want to talk, they can feel comfortable in doing so. Now, when I wrote that post, I knew people wouldn't like the word cool, but this actually is one of the reasons why I put the word cool in there. It's not because I think it's cool to speak out, it's because I just don't want it to be so shameful, so frightening, so uncomfortable, and I don't want people to worry about what other people are going to think, or even if it's going to bring a disadvantage to your life. Like, what the hell is going on? If you come out as, let's try to use this as an example, and I apologize if it's not the correct example to use, right? But if you come out as gay or trans or something along those lines, these days it's more accepted. You're not expecting a repercussion. 20 years ago, that would have been something that you just would have kept to yourself. I hope that in years to come, we see a similar history with speaking out about CSA, meaning that right now, it's so tough to really speak out about something that happened to you. You did no wrong, so why would it be so frightening to speak out about it? I hope in time that this changes, that the culture changes. Something that really, really frustrates me, and I suppose it's up to us to make these changes. Thank you, Andrew, for that question. Okay, next question, another one from Dilshan.sr. Do I have a LinkedIn? Now, I do have a LinkedIn, but only the one that I was using when I was an engineer, doing my like working as an engineer, which some of you may know that I did, and I haven't set up a LinkedIn profile for this work that I'm doing. I know I need to do that, but I'm really at maximum capacity at the moment. I do understand the benefits of LinkedIn because I was on it for many years when I was an engineer, and I know that it's going to help me with things like getting in contact with charities and things like that. But at the moment, with my with my YouTube channel, my TikTok, my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter, the 5 platforms, I am at maximum capacity. So soon, that is something that I'm going to get to. Okay, next question. Ryan Gadsby, 3108. Nice to see you in the chat, mate. What do you think we as activists can offer additionally to what the charities are already offering? What do you personally feel you can add to the current movements? Right, let's think about this for a moment. I feel that the charities are bounded by rules and red tape. They can say certain things, they can't say certain things. I feel like the charities who are receiving funding have a direction that they're being asked to take the brand and how to spend the funding. Us activists, us individual independent activists, we can take this wherever we want. We can say whatever we want, and we are coming from a place where we have passion and belief for this because we know that it's so important, because we have lived experience. You know that lived experience is equally as valuable as any other setup, any other type of situation. And I also think we can so we have no restraints on what we can do. It's like endless. The possibilities are endless. We can speak on what we want on podcasts without anybody in our ear saying you can say that, you can't say that. We can make videos in whatever style we want, whether that be film, documentary, vlog kind of style. So our possibilities are endless, and I do believe that just putting an artistic style into it is one of the things that we can do. Look at musicians, I think are a great example. I mean, there are people who are making incredible music with incredible messages behind it. And these are the kind of videos that are cool to watch and share. Yeah, people are feeling like youngsters are feeling like towards these artists that they want to follow them, they want to take inspiration from them. I just feel like that is one of the ways that we can move this forward with art. And I actually get criticized with when I say that on my page. I wrote a post last week about festivals, right? Trying to get this subject on the main stages of festivals, which I believe is possible, right? With clever storytelling, theatrical kind of feel to it, a grand orchestra in the background providing like powerful sounds to support the emotions of the story. And people are like, "Oh, you're trying to." People didn't like that. People didn't like that. Because they think I'm trying to make some kind of... I've had a week of people giving me bad comments online, and it's been tough for me. And that's why I'm kind of in this mindset. So I apologize. So Ryan, to answer your question, to summarize your question, I just feel that... as activists, we have a freedom to do what we want. Charities are bounded and restricted by their movements, and that's what gives us the advantage and us the upper hand. So we'll continue doing what we're doing. Okay, PTSD and motherhood. Good morning from the US, another country that my work has reached, what I'm doing has reached, the message has reached. That's excellent. I agree there's still a ton of shame of speaking out on CSA. It's such a taboo topic that people don't want to hear about, but the reality is it has happened and continues to happen. And normalize taking out of the experience. Excuse me, let me start again. But the reality is it happened. We are survivors, and normalize talking about it will automatically help protect future children from being abused. One of the biggest concerns or goals or directions that I want, one of the reasons why I'm communicating things in the way that I'm communicating them, is for the future generations. You want people who the teenagers are looking up to and being like, wow, he's being quite bold about it, and getting a good response from being bold about it. that means that if I want to be bold about it, I can. Isn't that like the younger generations is like one of our most important, inspiring the younger generations is like one of the most important things that we can do as people, like especially when you become an adult. I'm 35, right? So let's take 16-year-olds that have been through abuse, that have struggling with the memories. I would be, why are we not creating work for them to inspire them that if they want to be bold about their experience, they can be? That's why I think I need to practice the best I can and keep working on ignoring the negative people that have started to come on my page now, saying that I'm not doing anything useful, or because it's not about them, right? It's about the youngers. It's about the youngers. Oh wow, Andrew Harrisky. Here in the US too, your message has gone more viral in the past 6 months. Yes, the pages have grown in the last 6 months for sure, especially with the recent film that I put out there, the short film, and that really helped everything grow. And for anybody that watched that, it was called My Story of Child Sexual Abuse, and it was a monologue with filming me explaining a lot about the grooming process. If you haven't seen that, please do check it out. It's on my YouTube channel. It's the first video on my YouTube channel. And for anybody listening that did watch that, I know that was a tough listen. I know it was a tough listen. When I wrote it, I knew it was a tough listen. When I recorded it with the film crew that I was working with, shout out to Luke Mound, who sorted all of that out for me, I knew it was going to be a tough listen. But I tried my hardest to not make it like explicit, or not make it too much for people to listen to. What I tried my hardest to do was to find a balance. I wanted to explain what the grooming process was in my story. And I think one of the toughest lines in that video is when I say, and I kind of liked it, because I don't think that's something that we're talking about. I think we are communicating this whole subject as if it's always a big, scary, frightening predator, and a scared and a frightened child who's been sworn to silence, and they don't know what to do. It's not always like that. Yeah. In fact, I'm gonna guess, absolute guess, that majority of the time it's not like that. Because when you're 6 or 8 or 10, you're very impressionable, and you are kind of sometimes even going along with the game. So that is something that I really wanted to communicate in that particular video. So yes, thank you, Andrew Harrisky. It's really, things are growing and things are moving, and I always need to remind myself of that by scrolling down to my post this time last year to remind myself that we are moving somewhere. The donations that I'm collecting to my best ability are trickling in here and there, and that's really helping. I'm just in talks with trying to kick off 2 new filming projects through the donations, using the donations. You know what? Actually maybe I can ask the people who are listening. So I do have a donation page under jeremyindica.com. The reason why I created the donation page is because these filming projects are expensive. Yeah? These filming projects cost money. Filming crews, sound engineers, directors, people to help me finalize the script, etc. So I opened the donation page, and thankfully some people have donated. That's fantastic. If you haven't donated and you cannot donate, don't worry about it. Just the fact that you're following is incredible. And I suppose what would be great to understand is how am I supposed to continually promote the donation page without always essentially asking for money, which people don't like. My idea, and let me know if you don't think this is correct, is to just put out a post once every fortnight, once every 2 weeks, just letting people know that it's there if they want to use it. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to work this out as I go, right? It's a completely new thing for me. But anyway, some funds, I've managed to collect some funds, so I'm kicking off 2 new projects, and I'll post about those in the next 2-ish weeks. So keep an eye out for that. So hello to everybody that's listening. Hello to anybody that's just joined. This is a Ask Me Anything live Q&A. It's the first one I'm doing, hopefully the first one of many. And maybe with time, I could bring on a guest, or with time, we could have, I don't know, we could add things to this event. Everything that I do, I'm trying for the first time. Everything that I do is an idea that I sit within my head. It feels strong, right? Over time, it starts to feel strong, and I'm like, let's try it. Because if I don't try it, then we're not getting anywhere, right? Then we're not getting anywhere. So this is something that I'm trying for the first time. So if you do have a question, please do write it in the comment section. It can be anything. It can be asking me about my story. It can be asking me how I'm getting on at the moment. It could be asking me about my current work, etc. So whilst I am waiting for another question from any of the listeners, let's just go through this, speak briefly about this post that I put out about the festival. So, a question has come in. Hello, Sarah Grillo. Hi, how are you overcoming what happened to you in the past? The most effective thing that I have done in this whole trial and error process of dealing with the memories is writing them down. So one of the most powerful things I think there is that we can do is pick up your pencil, pick up a piece of paper, and write down 2 sentences about what happened, but write them in a way that when you read them back to yourself makes you feel strong. Maybe you just write 2 sentences because it's tough at the start. Then you set yourself a target that next week you're going to revisit it again, and you're going to write another 2 sentences, or rewrite the 2 original sentences that you wrote, to make sure that when you read them back to yourself, it makes you feel strong. Now, if you do that for a year, which is one of the exercises that I did, you then start to plot out your story and start to eliminate all the areas that are in your mind that make you feel weak, and you keep rewriting it and rewriting it and rewriting it. And that is one of the ways I feel I have overcome the tragedy, the horrificness of the memories. It's still a work in progress, don't get me wrong. So Sarah Grillo, I hope that answered your question a little at least. Thank you so much for writing in. Okay, we have another question here. Fantastic, the questions are coming in. Okay, so Zulema. Hello, how were you able to get the courage to confront your predator? Okay, let's talk about this a little bit, right? Now, when I was 25, the memories started haunting me. I thought my strategy was to keep fighting them away until they disappeared, but they did not. For 2 years, I tried to get rid of them, but they weren't going anywhere. So now I was stuck with them, and I thought, what am I going to do about this? So I spoke out for the first time to a close friend. It felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. And then I started getting really interested in what the hell is going on out there. Who else is struggling? So I started Googling things. I started investigating, and I came across chat rooms, and I just saw the amount of suffering that is out there. That's when I thought to myself, oh, well, if this is happening absolutely everywhere, I wonder if the man that did this to me is still doing it now. And I felt a responsibility to at least find out about that. So that's when I started searching for him. And when I saw his pictures the first time online, my God. When I saw his face for the first time in 25 years, I literally couldn't believe it. It was like he hadn't changed. Everything the same. Beard, hair, glasses, eyes. And it wasn't, I'm not sure if approaching him in the way that I did was as much a courage thing as like a necessity. I felt like it was absolutely my obligation to ensure that he wasn't still doing this to more children. Now, please, I don't want to give anybody the impression that I just woke up one morning and decided that I'd go after him. That was not the case. This was years. This took years. Step-by-step progression. Dealing with the memories. Speaking out for the first time, speaking out to more people for the first time. I took my story public. I was wondering what was going on out there. I started researching it. I saw the suffering people were going through, started thinking about him and where he was, found him online, contacted him, tried prosecuting him. The prosecution didn't work due to a lack of evidence, as many of you know. And that's when I found out where he lived and when I knocked on his door. So that in that time, that was a 10-year, no, not a 10-year span. That's not correct. Well, actually, that was near enough a 10-year span. I don't know if everybody that's listening has seen the knocking on my abuser's door video that I've got on my YouTube channel. But I have filmed a reenactment of what happened when I actually went and knocked on his door. It's available, and please do go and check it out if you have not seen that. I want to do a remake of it, actually, because I made that a year and a half ago. Zero budget, right? It's all favours from people. Camera equipment, favours. Film people, favours. All the scenes that we've shot were under favours. So I want to remake that again. Please do go and watch that. It's like, I think in my head, these people shouldn't be allowed to just get away with this, right? They should be called out on what they did. And you know what? Why wouldn't they be called out on what they did? Because we are the ones in the power, because we have the story and we're not scared of it anymore. Come on. That's absolutely how I feel about it. And please, if you have any other questions about what happened when I knocked on his door, please put them in the comment section. It's just I don't want to speak for 20 minutes on that event. I want to keep the conversation moving. So thank you for your question. I've got another question here. Multi-baller. How does exercise help you as an individual? Does it help with mental clarity, or perhaps it's just for keeping fit? Okay, so maybe you've heard me, multi-baller, talk about some of the methods that I use to handle life and handle this challenging project that I'm trying to develop. And these are the things that I always say. I always try to do a little bit of activity once a day. Maybe that's even just a 10-minute walk at the end of the day. Maybe that is other types of exercise, either sport or gym. I feel it's so important to just keep everything stable. It helps to keep things stable. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that it's like a absolute remedy, but it is helping keep my mental state stable. I also try my hardest to eat nutritious foods when I can. I also try my hardest to reduce my alcohol consumption, because all of those things we know are only putting us in bad moods after we've done them. So yeah, I mean, I'm a big advocate for activity, exercise, keeping fit, keeping active, even if that's 10-minute walk at the end of the day. Thank you, multi-baller, for your question. And that is actually something that I'd like to start putting these things that I do that I feel have helped me. I want to share them in my posts. So that's something that I'm trying to get into my writing. But this whole writing post, I mean, as a lot of you know, I was an engineer before this. I wasn't a writer. I didn't go to drama school. I didn't do any of that. I just trying to get better at it. So every time you read one of my posts, it wasn't just written in like 5 minutes. A lot of them actually I've written, and then for the following week I'm continually rewriting. I'm continually trying to word it a little better. I'm continually trying to explain myself a little better. I'm continually trying to make it an easier read, make it a more impactful read, because that's important. One of my massive, in fact, you know what, the more I talk about it, the more I think actually it's my number one aim, is to get this subject in front of people who have nothing to do with the subject. Yeah, because to keep this subject inside of the community, survivor communities, which is easily done, right? I can forever write content which is helping survivors, encouraging survivors, and that is so important. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's not important, but what is equally as important, even more important, is to get this subject on people's table who haven't ever thought about it before, because everybody needs an awareness of this topic. It is everybody's concern. And the reason why it's everybody's concern is because everybody has a younger sibling. Everybody has a niece or a nephew or friend, or they have a friend who has a child, or they have a child in the family or in their close circles. That is why it's everybody's concern. So that is one of my big aims, to try to make content that when people are scrolling through their newsfeed at a rapid rate, I've seen it. Yeah, I've watched people like on the train scrolling through their content, and people are going through it at a rapid rate. How can we stop them? How can we stop them at the post which is discussing the tough topic of child sexual abuse? Okay, we got a couple of questions coming here. Mel Gunny, thank you very much for submitting. How would you suggest talking to someone who has gone through abuse without saying anything damaging? Okay, so how would you suggest talking to someone who has gone through abuse without saying anything damaging? Okay, so responding to a disclosure is what I'm going to say that question is about. Now, this is something that I haven't talked about enough yet. I haven't talked about this enough yet. Responding to somebody who is disclosing to you is, off the top of my head, right? Listen and really listen. You don't have to actually say anything back. Just listen, because that's all people are asking from you, right? If somebody's coming to you with the biggest secret that they've ever had, right? They just want to be listened, number one. Please don't relate it to anything that you've been through, even if you've been through something similar, possibly. It's not about trying to... I don't think it will be very comforting if you were to come back with something that you went through to try to relate it. And maybe you say that in good faith. Maybe you say that with good intentions, of course. But just listen. Just listen and let them know that the relationship between you two will not be any different following this disclosure, now that you know about this person's history. Let them know that if they need anything, right, that you are there for them. It's a great question, and I need to make more content on that. I need to write more posts on that. So thank you, Mel Gunny. Next question. Okay, we got a couple more coming in. This is fantastic. Do you have any favorite projects, people you admire and you aspire to be on a large scale? Yes, I do. Okay, there's 2 questions in there. Do you have any favorite projects? So I'm just going to click on my YouTube channel and just see what we got here. I am going to say that I don't have a specific favorite. You know what? I don't have a specific favorite. And the reason why I don't have a specific favorite is because every one of those projects has been a progress, has been like an advancement. You take the first one, Prosecution Attempt Against My Abuser. It's the first short film that I created. I wrote a script that I was performing at open mic nights in London. I sent it to the film guy. He turned up. We didn't set scenes. We didn't go through anything, and we just filmed it on the day. I thought that was smashing at that time. Then we come to Knocking on My Abuser's Door, which is the second short film that I created. And this time I sat down with the director. We worked out the lines. We went to the different scenes. We sorted everything. We planned everything, and then we shot it. Then A Not So Christmas Story was I worked with a friend on this one. Another great project. And it was coming from such a different angle. And there was no budget for this. So we went around London. I found the right place to shoot in Kensington. And we just shot the film and edited and got it out. I'm going to do a remake of that this year. The animation and the latest short film, they're probably the more complex projects that I did, because we had sound engineers, I worked with a director, we had lighting, so I'm proud of all of them. Like, I didn't do media studies or go to no film school. I'm proud of all of them. Thank you for asking that question. And there is a second part to your question, which I want to get to right now. People you admire or people you aspire to be on a large scale. Now, the reason why I believe 9 days out of 10, when I'm feeling excellent, reason why I believe this is going to happen, right? We are going to take this subject to places it's never been before. The reason why I believe that is people like Joe Rogan, people like Jordan Peterson, people like Russell Brand, people like Theo Von, who's a comedian. These are all people who have something to say, they've said it, and they've created platforms from it. They've created podcasts, they've created books, they've created shows. And people are following these people, and me being one of them, and I've learned so much from these people. So when I see them create a life out of what they have to say, that's why I believe I can also do it. Thank you, Jack, for the question. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining this first live Q&A, just for anybody that has joined. Ask me anything, live Q&A. This is the first one that we're doing, and I feel like it's going really well. So we will continue with the questions. Again, Zulema, how does your family feel about your sexual abuse? Did they try to keep it under the rug? Were they supportive? When I see the pain that everybody close to me is still feeling, even though they've known for 2, 3, 4 years, that is the driver. That is one of the big drivers for what I do. This has to be prevented. I sometimes feel like actually the family feel more pain. Let me just say, in my circumstances, right? My family and friends, my close friends, feel more pain than what I do in some way. Because actually I've been dealing with this my whole life. They're only just dealing with it from the time I disclosed to them, which was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It's so shocking to hear that somebody close to you has been through something like that when you never ever had a clue. And nobody had a clue, right? Even now, when I ask people who have known me for 20 years, now you know what I went through, would you say you would now look back at what I was like as a child and link it to that and link it to that and link it to that? And everybody's like, no. everybody feels tremendous pain. My family and friends have been so supportive that it tells me that my family and friends have been so supportive that I have to take advantage of what I've been given. Because not everybody has that. Not everybody has supportive friends, supportive family. Many people are not believed. Many people are asked to keep quiet. Many people are thought of differently when they disclose. But I never got any of that. Everybody was supportive. Everybody said to me, whatever you need, I'm here for you. That's why I have to take advantage of this opportunity that I have, really, and do something with this story. Okay, more questions. This is excellent. Sarah Grillo, hello again. What advice would you give to someone who also has wanted to take their abuse story to the police? Please do what you feel is... Don't push yourself too far. Make sure you're ready for those steps. And if you feel like it's something that you really need to do, then make the correct decision for you. You see, I'm trying to step around that question, aren't I? Because I don't want to be telling people to do something or do not do something because it's so tough. Because when you do disclose to the police, you do have to give a statement, and a statement in more detail than probably you've ever talked about your story. And you know, my statement was 3 hours long when I went to the police, and I gave every single detail: touch, taste, feel, everything. So much information. And you know what's so crazy? I wouldn't be able to write that information on any of my posts because I think the posts would get shut down because people just aren't ready for that. So if you're going to go to the police and report abuse, just make sure you're in a right mind frame for that. Make sure it's what you're ready to do. Make sure you've written down your story and you're comfortable with it, even just speaking it to yourself. And then do what you need to do, really. I don't encourage or tell anybody to speak out, but I do know the more people that do speak out, the more people are going to start taking this seriously. Yeah, that's something that I feel. Okay, we have another question here. Multi-baller. Which out of dropping a major project or walking out on stage to tell your story gives you the most anxiety? That's a great question. Before I'm dropping a new project, you know, when I do that promo, which I hope everybody enjoys, by the way, when I do that promo, I feel confident because I know it's a good video, or I know it's a good piece, or I know it's a good illustration series. But as it gets nearer to the drop, I do get anxiety because it's my personal input. You know, I put my listen. I am putting my heart and soul into this. Everything I write, everything I film, and it's tough because you're putting it out there actually for analysis and criticism in some ways. But you know, most of what I get back is good. But to get out on stage and tell my story, when I started doing that back in 2018 at open mic nights in London, I was feeling huge anxiety. But the more I did it, of course, the less anxiety that I got. And now I feel like dropping a new video and speaking out on stage is the same levels of anxiety. Same levels as anxiety, actually, that what I had before I pressed go live on this. I started feeling real nervous at the start, thinking no questions would come in, thinking that nobody was going to turn up, thinking all of these stupid things in my head. But you know what? I can't wait to keep getting out on stages. And I'm actually working on a few pieces at the moment that I'm trying to release in the next coming months. Everything's crazy at the moment, right? I'm at maximum capacity. And I hope that I can start blending these ideas together and start to send them out to schools and be like, look, this is what I'm about. This is what I do. This is a 20-minute performance that I could come on stage and perform in front of an assembly of whatever year group you think it's suitable for, and take a Q&A after. Now, if the schools aren't going to let me get in, which I don't think they're going to, then maybe I could get into colleges or universities. Maybe that's a better step, actually, because the universities, I'm sure they're going to have me. But the schools maybe not so. But, as I mentioned earlier in this Q&A, this is a step-by-step thing. It's like I can't do, it's progression, right? It's progression. It's we achieve this, we achieve a good short film, then we achieve more growth, then we achieve this live Q&A, then we achieve the next thing, and then hopefully this can become something. You know what? Just really thinking about the future vision. Maybe something can be created here that when I retire or my time is over, the youngers can take it and progress it further. Or actually, even better than that, as the years go on and we build something, hopefully I can bring on the youngsters into the project because they know the world better than I do at that stage. And we can run it as like a team. At the moment, it's just me. And I am getting people to jump in. And now with the donations coming in, I can, thankfully, people want paying, the film crews I work with want paying, and now I can get them coming in, and now everything can grow. So, Multiballer, thank you. Surviving childhood trauma, hello. How do you balance your own healing, the work you are doing, and your own self-care? Okay, this is where things are tough for me. I do feel myself getting drawn into the project and not being able to get it out of my head. At the weekend, I'm thinking about it constantly. This needs to change, and I'm working on it. So, to balance my life, I am turning everything off at 7 p.m. Notifications, apps, they go off. Because I've done it in the past where I haven't turned it off, and then a notification will come through on my Instagram and it will just mess my evening up. No. If it's a negative comment, of course it messes my evening up. But it'll be some kind of comment or something, anything, and then I'm thinking about it again. That's just not going to be healthy. That's not sustainable, right? I'm not going to be able to continue doing that. I'm going to drive myself insane. So, at 7 p.m, everything goes off. At the weekends, maybe I work Saturday morning, but after that, everything goes off. I've tried to create hobbies now as well. So I do a little painting. As I mentioned earlier, I do a little activity, a walk or some exercise every day. I've started reading books. I've tried to get away from screens, in the evenings and at the weekends. And actually that is helping me create a balanced life. And also with my own healing wise, the work is my healing. The work is my progression. The work is my release. It's my release, really. So the work is my release, but outside of the work, I need to create I need to create me as well. So thank you for your question. Okay, next question. Mel Gooney, again, looking back at your own journey, is there anything that you would change or do differently? So this is probably going to have to be the last question. So coming up to an hour now, this has gone incredible. So would I change anything? In some ways, I feel like I wish I started this earlier. I wish that I could have the memories had haunted me 5 years earlier. I started this project 5 years earlier. Maybe that's something I would like to change. But of course, as we all know, that's not realistic, because running this project, the reason why I feel confident to run this project is because I was a mechanical engineer for 10 years at prestigious companies running unique projects. And I learned everything there. So actually, if I started this all 5 years earlier, it would have meant I was an engineer 5 years less, which meant I wouldn't have been as skilled to do this. So all in good time. What I would like to change, of course, what everybody likes to change, is for this to grow quicker. But I know I have to be patient, right? So thank you for your question. So we're coming up to the hour, so I'm going to have to close this off. This was the first Ask Me Anything live Q&A that I've done, episode number 1. I feel good about it. I feel like it went really well. I'm so pleased. Thank you for everybody that listened. Thank you for everybody that submitted a question. I'm going to do more of these. And if you only joined halfway through or you missed some of it, I'm going to put the live recording. I'm going to post the live recording probably tomorrow. I've got some more posts coming out this week. Just to let you know, the short film that I released last month has got 28,000 views. Imagine how many people's table that's landed on that have never thought about the subject but are now thinking about the subject. It's a celebration. It's a celebration for all of us, right? For anybody that's following, anybody that supported that piece. It's a celebration for all of us. We need to make these numbers. So thank you so much. I'm so pleased with how this went. I'm going to do another episode soon. Hope you have a fantastic Sunday. Thank you. We out.